Hello, we're back for My Louisiana Sky, Chapter 3, and we're going to go ahead and get started here. This chapter kind of gives you some more background about Mama. We'll learn more about her, and we will likewise revisit the baseball and Tiger and her decisions to quit that baseball game. So let's get started. Chapter 3. Monday was laundry day. Granny put red beans in her gumbo pot while I pumped water from the well. On the back porch, I poured the bucket of water into the washing machine, dumped in a cup of laundry soap, and turned it on. Ker-chunk, ker-chunk, ker-chunk. The sound of that machine and crisp smell of soap powder made my fingers raw thinking about the stacks of clothes I'd be feeding through the wringer. Mama sat in front of the TV, hugging her pillow to her chest. Her foot was tied with the piece of cloth where Granny had taken out the splinter with a needle. "Corina!" called Granny as she chopped onions. "Gather up your and Lonnie's clothes." "Oh, Ma, I hate washing. Can I watch TV for a few minutes? And my foot hurts." "Gal, you don't know what washing clothes is. Remember when I had to wash out on that old scrub board?" I was glad I couldn't remember. Granny was proud of her washing machine with the wringer to squeeze out the water from the clothes. She'd bought it second-hand from Mitchell's Appliances. Mama limped on her sore foot all morning. Later she helped me hang a basket of wet sheets on the clothesline to dry in the sun. I held a corner of the heavy sheet to the line while Mama handed the clothespin to me. Mama giggled and squeezed open a clothespin. "Don't they look like funny little soldiers doing jumping jacks?" After we finished, I escaped to the tire swing that hung from the huge oak tree in the front of our house. I slipped my skinny legs through the tire, pushed off with my bare feet, and looked up at the moss dangling from the branches. Mama was probably back in the house watching television. But soon I heard her singing, "Skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip to the loo, my darling." I saw her skip in shadow on the white sheets. Mama was like the wind blowing gently through the trees as she danced around the sheets, causing them to wave. She must have forgotten all about her sore foot. I wondered how Granny could have one daughter who was so smart and fancy, and another daughter who was happy just being plain simple. As Mama danced and sang, I remember how we had played dolls together when I was younger, pretending we lived in fairyland. We wore crocheted doilies on our heads for hats, drank magic tea from honeysuckles, and called the dead pine needles gold. And now I felt like I was growing up past her. I was 6 when I first realized Mama wasn't the same as the other mothers. One time she had played hide and seek with my Sunday school class right after church. We were all laughing, having a good time, running barefooted through the grass in our best dresses. I remember thinking I was lucky to have a mother who would play games. Then, a few minutes later, she started crying when she couldn't find us. Later, I asked Granny why Mama had cried. Her face went white as she told me to run along and play. I never asked Granny about Mama again. But over the years I learned that Mama was like a child. Happy when everything was going fine, upset if something stopped her fun. That afternoon Jesse Wade Thompson walked down our little dirt road to the house with a bat and mitt in his hand. He didn't want to spend any time outside feeding the chickens, cutting the grass, or working in his daddy's nursery. He only went outside to play. "You want to hit a few?" he asked, smiling so big his dimples made tiny valleys on his cheeks. "Nope," I said, trying to ignore the tingling in my right hand, the same feeling I got every time I went up to bat. "Oh, Tiger Ann, I never seen a day when you didn't want to play baseball. What changed your mind?" "I'm giving up the game," I said. "Just a silly old game anyway." My stomach rumbled. "What?" he said. The word came out squeaky like a bicycle wheel that needed oiling. You can hit the ball farther than anybody in Seder. Or is that it? Have you lost your golden swing? Of course not. He swung the bat so clumsily I wanted to yank it from him and show him how to do it right. That's it, isn't it? Tiger Ann Parker has lost her golden touch. I knew he was trying to trick me, but my blood boiled anyway. Ha! Don't be silly, I said. You know I can outbat you left-handed. I'm not so sure about that anymore. Yep, after all, if you could make that ball fly, you'd prove it right here and now. I grabbed that bat from him one last time. I'd get the baseball out of my system, and Jesse Wade would know it was my choice to leave this dumb game behind. Where do you want me to aim? His dimples appeared again, and he pointed toward the chicken yard in the pasture. Right out there. I took my position and spat on the ground. Left-handed, he ordered. Suit yourself, I said. Switching the bat to the other hand, I aimed to the right of the hen house. Jesse Wade took his place in front of me. He spat on the ball and tossed it in the air a few times. Jesse Wade, come on, hurry up! He looked me square in the eyes and then frowned. Leaning back, he pulled back his arm and then threw the ball. I kept my eye on the ball, slowing the spin down in my mind, seeing each rotation until it came into the place I knew well, the place I called baseball heaven. I knew if I swung the bat right then, it would be all glory for me. Smack! The ball flew like it was trying to reach the clouds. Glory, glory, baseball heaven! It went over the pasture gate and landed in our chicken yard. I folded my arms across my chest, looking at Jesse Wade with raised eyebrows. He whistled, still staring at the place where the ball landed. Turning to me, he asked, Now doesn't that make you want to play? I swallowed a big lump that gathered in my throat. Nope. I turned and ran toward the chicken yard to fetch Jesse Wade's ball. Nope, Jesse Wade hollered. What you mean, nope? Jesse Wade, girl has to grow up sometime. Glancing back over my shoulder, I saw Jesse Wade looking at me with his face all scrunched up. I opened the gate and scooped the ball up. Here, catch. He caught the ball with his mitt, and he stood there, staring, like he was waiting for me to say this was all a big joke. I have to go inside and help Granny with the wash. Underwear and colored clothes were waiting, but the real reason I had to leave was I couldn't stand the sight of that bat. It was calling for me. Right after supper, Mama and I had plopped on the floor to watch the news. When we heard Rudy, our rooster, and the hens clucking like they'd seen a fox. Granny hollered, What in tarnation? Daddy grabbed his rifle and we all headed outside. Rudy and the hens raced beyond the chicken yard, their wings flapping wildly. Pluck, 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 pluck. Mama flapped her arms and chased them. Pluck, 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 she copied. The chicken yard gate was wide open. My stomach sank. I'd left the gate open when I went after Jesse Wade's ball. Daddy dashed inside the hen house, followed by Granny and Mama. I stood waiting in the dusk, my heart pounding in my ears. Where's them baby chicks? Mama cried, following Daddy and Granny out of the hen house. Possums must have got them, Daddy said. Mama whimpered. I knew she was thinking about those helpless yellow creatures crying, peep, peep, as possums carried them away. I knew she was thinking about it because that's all I was thinking about too. Granny looked at me. Do you know anything about this? Daddy stared at the ground as if he were feeling my pain. My stomach flip-flopped. Yes, ma'am. I'm afraid I left the gate open this afternoon. Well, then I'm afraid, said Granny, that you'll have to pay me back 2 dozen chicks. As we ran round the pasture in the dark, catching Rudy and the hens, I couldn't help thinking this was one more good reason why I would never play baseball again. So after reading this chapter, what do you all think? Do you think Tiger's really going to give up baseball, or do you think that she is going to end up going back? And by the way, did you catch that she hit the ball over the fence left-handed? Boys, how many of you out there are switch hitters? You know, you're talking about a 13-year-old girl here that can switch hit. I personally, when I was 13 years old, I did not know of many of my friends that could do that. So that's quite impressive from Tiger. We're going to go ahead and close out this chapter and move on to chapter 4.